All right, welcome to the final segment of the show, the heart of the show, Ballers Bouquet. Too often in the media, people only focus on the negative and salacious things athletes do and never want to give them their credit where credit is due. Here, we like to make a change, and this week's Ballers Bouquet goes to Najee Harris of the Pittsburgh Steelers for his nonprofit organization, the Bigger Picture Foundation, which revamped a two-story homeless shelter that Najee Harris spent some time in when he was younger, called the Greater Richmond Interfaith Program. All right. So for over 20 years, the Greater Richmond Interfaith Program, otherwise known as GRIP, has been helping countless families find a fresh start and get back on their feet. Najee Harris, which a lot of people might remember this from when he was drafted, he did his draft party actually at this location. And he talks about this. When he was doing that, the whole time he was looking at stuff being like, man, I can't wait for this check because I'm about to fix everything up. And of course, when that check came in, he used his foundation in a partnership with Lowe's and decided to replace the carpet, the tile in a two-story, 1,200 square foot building. They added new appliances, computers, a grill, a walk wall, a playground for the kids, new landscaping, repaved the parking lot, and added a fresh coat of paint. Like literally changed this entire building for the better. And this is really important to Najee because this is a story that he once used to not like talking about, right? And in fact, he actually was angry when people talked about it. But then he understood that his story was a form of motivation, but also a form of access for areas like this and communities like this. And it's really important for him because donating this money and being able to make this location more comfortable, more like home, it was a big goal of his. And he's always been trying to give back. And we all know that that's a big thing for a lot of athletes. They come from situations that aren't always ideal, but usually when they get that windfall, they like to try to go back and help other people. So this was a really big one for him. He even tried to buy the building so they wouldn't have to pay rent. And when he found out that they actually already owned the building, he was like, so let's create another one. Let me buy a second one. Yeah, that's what he said. He wanted to buy the building so they wouldn't have to pay rent, but ended up finding out they owned the building. So he was like, let's buy another one. And the spotlight alone that he has given to GRIP has actually changed the entire organization. The executive assistant said they were at one point in the negative as a nonprofit. But when people saw him on the news for the draft, saw the story that he had there, a mass amount of donations came flooding in for the homeless shelter, right? And with all this money, they were able to go back afloat, get back in the green, get the payroll going back for the staff, keep the doors open, and actually expand their programs to be able to help for like drug and alcohol addiction. So like massive thing that Najee Harris did. Always want to give athletes their credit where credit is due. And if y'all want to share or say anything about this, you're welcome to as well.
I think that's super dope. Shout out Najee Harris. That's a big deal. I'm glad he was able to give back something that was extremely important to him. It's important to the community. It's important to just kids around the area to see somebody of that status doing something like that. Good for them. And I love it to see it. Honestly, I got another Ballers Bouquet too, so I'm gonna let Terrence go, but I got another one.
Facts. I love it.
I mean, big shout out to Najee. And it's very important because as for someone to not forget where he came from, something that is it has such an impact on his life. This was a very important span in his life that he spent in a homeless shelter and stuff like that. And for him, as far as like one of the first things that he's worried about is, hey, giving back. I mean, real stand-up guy. You can't do nothing but applaud it and just support him. And man, it's just just give him his props. And you got, like you said, and we got to start giving people their roses while they're still alive, not just, hey.
You start
going on now. Let me give them their praise. Like we got to start praising them, lifting them up while they're still here with us and doing great things. So.
You start seeing that more though. You see it with a lot of players a lot now. You got Braun with the Promise School, Jalen Rose with his school. I love it. I'm glad these dudes are like standing on and giving back. You got Damian Lillard does something out in I think it's Sacktown or Oregon for people.
I mean, it's crazy because you gotta, now that you have all this, you know, notoriety and you have all this, you know, abundance of wealth and money and stuff like that, like what's the use of having all this money if you're not helping people? Like I look at people like the billionaires in the world and stuff like that, like they can never spend all that money. Meanwhile, there's people that are struggling and living paycheck to paycheck, but it's like, you know, the rich are steady getting richer, but it's like, okay, what about the little guys down here? You know, so
I appreciate them shits more than them stopping to give somebody an autograph, to be honest. I ain't gonna lie.
For sure. Definitely.
I love that impact. And then
thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe so you can see more of the Fly Route podcast.